Before we continue, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, click the links below. We've got a Telegram group chat. We've got like 130 plus members in there now. Talk about Premier League stuff, football, Premier League, international, here and there. Depends what's going on international. Kind of boring international, right? But yeah, make sure you're in the Telegram group. Hoodie's coming soon. Giveaways coming soon. And yeah, we'll make your international break a lot more better if you're in there. So make sure you're in there. FOOTY258 here, back again. I'm your host, Jordan Antonio Brown. And today I got with me a special guest, someone I've known for a while, Sean Scales, ex-Chelsea, ex-Southend, ex-Oxford United. Cool. How you doing, man? How you doing?
Yeah, not bad, mate. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, many years, man. Many years. Where you based again? Like, what area?
I'm in Billericay. I'm in Essex. So,
Oh, Essex boy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? I'm trying to... So, to get to Cobham must have took a while then.
Yeah, it was, mate. It was about an hour and a half. It was quite a way.
That's a long journey, man.
But
anyway.
I mean, we were quite lucky in the fact that we used to have the minibus, didn't we? Like the driver.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, me and my mum and dad didn't really have to do too much of driving. Obviously, still had to do game days and that, but training that was all right.
Where did you have to meet for the minibus?
So my stop was Brentwood, and then the next one was Thurrock, which is where Ola would have got on, and then Dartford, and I think it was Swanley, and then we went to Cobham after that.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, that's a long way, man. Especially night time as well. That's long, man.
No, you weren't getting home until like 11. Yeah, exactly.
Shoving dinner down your throat and then go a bit of school.
you used to get like little goodie bags from the club and eat out on the minibus home.
To be fair, you guys got looked after though.
Yeah, we're done all right. Even with like the boots and stuff like that. Do you remember that? We used to get loads of like Preds and everything.
Yeah. No, the boots you guys were sponsored by Umbro. I don't know if it was maybe when you were there. Maybe it was a little bit before that. But Umbro, then they moved to Adidas.
Yeah.
But I think who they're with now?
Nike, yeah.
Yeah. Are you a Chelsea fan or?
No, I'm not. I'm West Ham.
Oh, West Ham.
Yeah.
Doing well at the moment, isn't it?
I know, mate. Yeah, can't complain.
Doing well, man.
Good, mate.
Punching above are you punching above your weight, or you think that's where you belong?
No, I'm punching above my weight historically, and even with the team that we've got. Do you know what I mean? Like when you look around the league, even like are you a Man United fan?
Yeah, Man United fan.
Yeah. So if you look at your squad, I mean, you should be above us. Do you know what I mean? Like, so. No, I mean we are, but I think we also deserve to be where we are in terms of how we're playing as a team and stuff.
But I think obviously I was at West Ham from 2013 to 2016, and even when I was there, I saw the change, like the money getting. I wouldn't say the money getting put into the club, but it was a little bit of a change. I don't know. They were smart with it, innit? And
well, obviously the move to that new stadium, innit? I mean, that was coming up at that time. So, and then probably Allardyce to Village as well was probably quite a big change. I mean,
yeah, that was a change. Training ground started to change, and then like you got players like Payet coming in. You know what I mean? That's a big change.
Did you get to train with him and stuff?
Yeah. His first training session, I actually trained with him. Yeah.
How good was he in training? Was he as good as what you saw? Different level.
Yeah, like in training, to be fair, like I never saw what I saw in a game, to be fair.
Yeah, I can imagine you saying that. He seems to have that personality, doesn't he? I mean, that kind of enigma.
Yeah, but still in training, he was unreal. I remember his first training session, for example, and I was on his team, and then all I had to do was just like make a run. Like normally when I make a run, sometimes you don't get the ball or whatever, but I was making every single run. The ball was just landing at my feet, and then I'll just look up, and then the ball's at my feet. I have to score. I just have to put it in the corner or whatever, He was on my team. My team won. I remember it clearly, and yeah, man, he was really, really good. I think with him, maybe he needed maybe a little bit better players around him to even perform even better. Because I think his ceiling was even higher than he showed, like.
Yeah, well, I mean, look how good his Euros was with France that time. He ended up in team in the tournament, didn't he, in Euro 2016? So, no, he was class. He's probably one of the best players I've seen live. I've went and watched him at the bowling a couple of times that year, and he was incredible when he was just on fire.
Yeah. So what's going to happen when maybe could be a possibility, Antonio is banging goals. You got at the back Zuma, and you got Ogbonna is injured. He's injured. But,
he's injured, isn't he now?
Yeah. And you got a good team. Declan Rice in the middle of the park patrolling things. What are you gonna do if you creep up to like second, first? Like, what's the feeling gonna be like? Are you gonna be expecting more, or is it gonna be like we don't know?
It's gonna be like less than 2.0, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Probably, not quite as big, but as long as it keeps rolling on. I think we all are trying to keep our feet on the ground. So obviously there's all this talk of we're massive and stuff like that. I mean, it's a bit self-deprecating. It's a bit jovial, really. We're just happy. We're just buzzing to be where we are, because that was kind of the thing. We was meant to move to this massive stadium, and this is kind of what we was meant to be getting. We was promised Champions League, I think, a couple of years ago now. So some people will say it's been a long time coming, but at the same time, we haven't really invested probably the level of the other clubs around us. So what can you expect? Well, I mean, David Moyes, the job he's come in, to save us from relegation, finished 2 or 3 points of Champions League last year, and now look at us in third place after 11 games. I mean, you just can't knock it. And the way he's got the team playing, and even got us playing for different games. So if we're playing Liverpool, we're more of a counter-attacking side. Whereas when we're playing Aston Villa, we're more on the ball, and Declan Rice is more controlling things. So no, it's a good time to be a West Ham fan. Definitely, as a season ticket holder, I'm loving going over there.
Season ticket holder,
I would say, I must admit. Yeah.
So, how was the mood? It's a rhetorical question, really. Yeah. Maybe you were different, but how was the mood when you guys had David Moyes? You did all right. Like, he kept you guys up and everything. I can't remember exactly where you guys finished, but then, you went with, after David Moyes, who was it? Pellegrini? Or was it before?
Pellegrini, yeah.
Yes, it was Pellegrini.
Pellegrini, yeah.
Yeah, it was Pellegrini afterwards. Yeah. And then Moyes came back again. Like, were you guys thinking, not really sure, like, is he the man for the job? Or were you confident that he would actually bring something to the table?
No. I'd be lying to you if I wanted him back.
Exactly.
It just seemed, because the thing is, obviously, he's done a brilliant job at Everton, but since that job ended, I mean, obviously, it didn't go great at Man United. Obviously, he didn't go well at Sunderland. I don't think he done too great at Real Sociedad either. So it's been a long, long time since he'd actually been, a good manager. And the thing is, after Pellegrini, obviously, he was such a big name. It probably seemed like a downgrade as well. But I mean, he come in. I think the first game was New Year's Day. Would have been a couple of years ago now, against Bournemouth, and we won 4-0. And really, from then onwards, we've just kept getting better and better. And the thing is, as well, he's made players that were already there. I mean, look at Antonio. Do you know what I mean? Look how good of a player he's become. He's become a brilliant striker. So he made the players that were already there better, and then he's brought in, Souček, the Souček lads. Do you know what I mean? They've been excellent signings on, not the biggest of transfer fees. So just can't knock it. Honestly, he turned the club upside down.
Yeah, never expected that, to be honest. His time at Man United wasn't the best, although that the squad wasn't that great to deal with. But I think with him, I feel like he does good in situations where he's not really, I don't know, West Ham is a pressure club, but you're not really expecting to be where West Ham are right now, right?
Yeah.
It just seems that he thrives.
You could almost say it's similar to Everton, really. Do you know what I mean? In a way, we're not too similar to Everton in terms of size, stature, history. So yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe he likes a little bit of that underdog sort of thing.
Yeah. At the time of recording, there's an international break. England, we know the result that they just played. It's not really that great of a watch, is it? How do you think international football should change for you, for example? Do you enjoy it when West Ham aren't playing and watching England, or you're like, nah,
we all love the major tournaments, of course you do, and we have to understand that unfortunately to get to those major tournaments you've got to go through qualifying, and that is the boring bit. Especially when you've got games like the other night, last Friday night was it, when we won 10-0 against San Marino. And obviously there's that debate there, should they even be in the qualifying group? Should there be a pre-qualifier before you can be in the qualifier? It's a bit like the FA Cup. I mean, everyone has a chance of winning it, but you still have about 3 or 4 qualifying rounds before you get to the first round proper. So maybe they need to look at that, because I don't know how much San Marino get out of that game. They might do. They might learn a lot from marking Harry Kane, but it didn't look like it. Do you know what I mean? So, I think there's got to be some sort of changes there. And they're trying all the time, and they'd obviously brought in that Nations League not too long ago, which is trying to get rid of kind of pointless friendlies, if you like. I don't know. But I mean, look, England's qualified brilliantly, haven't they? Like, they've sailed through it. So, onwards and upwards to next year. It's mad to say there's another World Cup around. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't seem that long ago since the Euros final. So,
yeah. What's your expectations? Are you saying semis, finals, and then you win it now, or is it like is it almost like it's a World Cup? Maybe getting to the final is actually still good, depending on the draw.
Yeah. I wouldn't say outright win it, to be honest, because I still think there's some really, really good sides. I think France, they haven't gone away. I know they didn't have a great Euros, but they you bounced back, won the Nations League. Spain are getting better and better. And obviously you've still got Italy. I know they've still got to get through the playoff now. And even Portugal, to be honest. I know obviously we've got Ronaldo, but aside from him, they've got a really good squad as well. So, that's just European. That's discounting Brazil, Argentina, and, the rest of the South American sides, Chile, Uruguay. So it's going to be difficult. It always is. We've had such lucky draws as well the last 2 major tournaments. We can't hide away from that. The last World Cup was just incredible. the draws we got. It's really, really hard to put expectations on it because, again, at the same time, I'm saying all that, our squad is just so good as well. I mean, it's probably the best in our lifetimes, or at least since the golden generation. So it's going to be difficult, but you'd probably be disappointed if we didn't get to the semis, I guess. As I say, there's so much luck involved as well as obviously having to be a really good side. It's really, it's going to be interesting. It's a completely different experience as well, with it being in December, and some people, whereas it might not suit some others. Some people need a few months to get into the season to get running. Whereas normally the Summer World Cup's done after a 9-month long season, and some people might play 70 games over the course of that season. So that could make a difference as well. Those might be a bit fresher. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. Looking forward to it, I must admit. But hopefully we go all the way. Hopefully it does finally come home, mate.
Yeah. It should be coming home, to be honest.
You reckon?
Yeah, it should. I think you look at the Premier League now, and in comparison to years prior, you got all pretty much most of the top players in the world playing in the Premier League now. There's not really much other leagues out there where La Liga is a little bit faded away now. You only got Madrid. Having at Madrid also. I love Benzema, but he's their only, I would say, top player still playing at that level. And then obviously you got France. You only got PSG there, really. You got really top class players. And then obviously in Italy, there's a few, but not the likes of the Premier League. The Premier League's got all the top class players now. You look at Salah. You look at Kane, even when he's on form. Got Ronaldo there now. Everyone. So I think, the competition every week in, week out, that kind of keeps the Premier League players, consistently playing at a higher level. Even if you get someone in your squad who you might question him, maybe like a Tyrone Mings, for example, he's still playing against top opposition every week. So
yeah, definitely, yeah.
That's a little bit different compared to the other countries. But we'll see what happens. You never know. It's knockout football, so
Exactly, that's the thing, isn't it?
yeah. But I think Gareth Southgate, he's done a decent job, and I think he's managed the group well.
Yeah.
Maybe tactically in the clutch moments that he's not necessarily the best out there, but having the players together and getting them playing for each other and the country, I think that has been the main difference I've seen so far.
Yeah, it feels like he's given it kind of a club team feel, hasn't he? Do you know what I mean? It seems like they're a lot more together. I don't know if you've ever seen interviews of kind of that golden generation where they kind of say they had splits between the clubs, and other Man United table or Chelsea table, they didn't want to talk to each other. That it don't seem like that now. I mean, plus he's just got a brilliant bunch of players to choose from. Look at right back alone. Do you know what I mean? You've got Reece James, you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, can play there. There's so many options across the pitch in the attacking positions as well. So let's hope so, mate, because I'd like to see something in my lifetime. I'm not getting any younger, so.
Nah, it should be semi-finals minimum. I'm saying, but we'll see on the draw. We'll see on the night. See next December. But yeah. So for you guys wondering, obviously Sean's here. You can clearly see his football knowledge is to the T, and you're wondering, how does he have this football knowledge? He was at one of the best, I would say, academies probably in the world, Chelsea. Tell us how you got there and what was your journey like, getting into the academy and everything like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, just started like any young lad, really. Just started in my local Sunday league sides. I played for a team called Perry Street, and then I played for a team called Intersport as well. And then kind of, I think I only played 5 or 6 games for them in my under-8 season, and that's when I was scouted for Chelsea the first time. So I actually spent my whole under-8 season pretty much at Chelsea. But then I think it's changed now, but back then you could only sign a contract for a team and when you turn 9 or under-9, start your under-9 season. And I actually didn't get a contract at the end of that year there. So I then again went back to Sunday League, if you like, and I played for a team called Chelsea City. So I spent a year and a half there, and then I actually got another trial to go back to Chelsea. So I went back to Chelsea, having a trial, and this time I got in. So it would have been under 10s, and I stayed there till I was 14.
Well, that story is very interesting because you said 2 things. You said you first started playing for your Sunday team when you were under 8, and that already is like, wow, because normally you have to kind of have a few years preparation to kind of get you into that mode for academy football. And then secondly, you said you got rejected first time, and then second time they accepted you on your trial. How was that? Like, did you actually feel that kind of pressure when you were young, going there for the second time?
Yeah, it was weird, really. I mean, I probably misspoke there. I played a season with Perry Street under 7s, and then I went and played for Intersports for a few games under 8. So that's, so I did have a season under my belt. And then before that, I'm still obviously playing football. It just wasn't organised, if you like. And then going back the second time was really weird because it was still all the same faces. I mean, it was all, it was that they remembered me, I remembered them. So it was really weird. And so it's not very often that you get rejected from a place and you go back. So I didn't really feel much pressure this second time because I think once you've already gone through it, you've already been rejected, you've already been released, you already didn't get a contract there. What did I have to lose? So I think the first time probably more so, and it was different. You joined Arsenal at a very young age, am I right in saying?
Yeah,
it's quite hard to kind of comprehend. You play for Arsenal Football Club at 8 years old. Like it's quite a big thing, and it doesn't really sink in. It doesn't. I don't know. It's hard to kind of get into your head that while your mates are just kicking a ball around in Sunday League, that you're going off to train at Arsenal's training ground or Chelsea's training ground, and you're seeing the first team players across the other pitch. It's a lot to sink in, and you don't probably understand it as much. But obviously, when I went back the second time, I had the experience of being there. I kind of knew how to deal with that pressure, if you like. And as I say, I feel like the pressure was a little bit off me because if it didn't work out, it didn't work out before, and I was in a position where if it didn't work out there, then I would have probably gone to trial at other clubs as well. So it's just one of those things.
Yeah, that's well, obviously you said you didn't really feel the pressure, but me personally, being in that situation, I definitely would have had that in my head, like, oh, I'm going in again. I'm seeing the same faces. These people, do they rate me? Do they not rate me? I don't know if you think like that as a young kid, but definitely you do have, as a young kid, you want to fit in, you want people to like you and everything like that. Once you signed and everything, how long were you there for, trialing for, when you were there?
I had an initial 6-week trial, which I think is pretty standard, but it did actually get extended for another 3 weeks. Just because of kind of the time when I started my trial was kind of leading up to Christmas, so the games program was a little bit sporadic, shall I say, a lot of cancellations, stuff like that. So the 3-week extension was really just to see me in some games. So I played the 3 games, and that's when I got offered a contract.
Yeah. So how long after you signing, did it take you to integrate into the team, feel like you were a part of it? Do you remember that, or is it just a blur to you now?
A little bit. I mean, it's a long time ago, isn't it? It's a while ago. No, because I think because I was there and I was there for I was there for a year before. There was a lot of faces. Like, I know you've done a podcast with Alfie Kane. He was someone who was there when I originally was there, and he was still there when I come back. So there was quite a lot of faces, a lot of coaches as well. So it kind of almost felt a little bit like going back home. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't. I felt like I integrated in quite well, quite quickly. So yeah, I didn't really have any sort of issues with that. And I think as well, going back to what you touched on about mentality, I think I went back there with such a mentality of I'm going to prove you wrong. Like you were wrong to get rid of me the first time. And I think that self kind of determination is kind of what spurred me on to get rid of that pressure. Because it was like, no, do you know what? You're wrong.
Yeah.
That stubbornness, if you like, probably still going now. But yeah, no, it was good. I was, obviously delighted to go back there because, as you say, it's such a brilliant academy, with such a brilliant reputation. So it was where I wanted to be.
How was your parents' impact on you going forward, and supporting you for your journey? Were they the typical, well, nothing's typical in football, but it's either one or the other, really. But were they the pushy parents, like, oh, you gotta do better, or like that, or were they just supportive of you and everything like that?
No, just supportive. They weren't pushy at all. If I turned around tomorrow and went, no, I don't want to do this anymore, I want to join Royal School or ballet, or I want to be an artist, they would have been fair play. I mean, you do you. It was my dream at the end of the day. I didn't need anyone else to push that as such. Obviously very supportive. But yeah, no, they didn't push me. But you are right, there are a lot of parents that are obviously very, very pushy. But they certainly weren't that type.
Did you ever see that? Did you ever come across that? And do you think that actually has a negative or positive impact on the kid, depending on how the parents are?
Depends, because there's different kind of types of pushy. I think it can be a negative, and it can be a negative, I think, if actually coaches see it. There's a lot of coaches that don't want parents trying to, because you get mixed messages. If your parents telling you to do this, but the coach telling you to do that, that can cause an issue. So push it in that sense of you should do this, you need to do that, when actually the coach is telling you different. That's obviously not good. I don't mind a little bit of pushiness. I don't mind, I don't know, come here, son, let's do a one-to-one session in the garden or something. That's not as bad. Do you know what I mean? If you're trying to help them in a positive sort of positive reinforcement. But the ones that end up screaming on the touchlines or going over to the manager, why is he not playing here? Why is he not doing that? That's never a good look, I don't think. So it depends how you go about it. But some kids just don't need pushing. I don't think it would have benefited me at all. I think if my mum and dad were like that, it probably would have turned me off it, to be honest. I'd probably just leave me alone. I'll go do something else. So no, it depends. Everyone's different, and everyone's personality is different. So depends.
To be fair, thinking back now, every single parent who was very pushy, and they were on the whole Project Mbappe thing before Mbappe was even around.
Yeah.
To be fair, those players, they didn't really deal with the pressure well when it came to that point, you know. And those players, sometimes they were like some of the best players, but you know, when it came to like the pressure and dealing with the stress of football and everything, they didn't really cope with that well, you know, mentally. So I didn't really realize it at a young age, but thinking back now, like it's actually very, you know, it's prevalent in football.
Do you know what? Do you know what it is? You just burn out because going to training and games does become stressful. You're right. When you're trying to chase that next contract, or you know, you're constantly being watched, constantly being assessed. That's the whole point. So that can be in itself. It's still fun, obviously, but it's a stressful environment as well because you want to do well. And if you come away from that, and you go back to what should be your safe space, and you're going back home, and you're still getting it. You're still being pushed. You're still being assessed. I mean, you never get to kind of relax and just enjoy the experience. So that's probably the reason why when they get to those pressure moments and they don't deal with it well, because they're just burnt out, they're just tired, just need some. You need to relax away from the game, rest and recovery. You know what I mean? You need to, and that's the mind as well. The mind is just as important as the body. So
no, I think the mind is probably more important, to be honest.
Probably, yeah.
Thinking back, like you know, it's actually a full-time thing playing football for academy at that age. Like, talk us through your you know, you mentioned before obviously, but your routine through the week. Like, what would it look like when you were like 12, 13 years old?
Yeah, well, I mean, training was Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, Saturday mornings, and then Sunday would be games, home and away. So that would be your standard week. And then obviously as you get a little bit older, I was unfortunate enough that I didn't get to do it at Chelsea, but you get day release programs. So in between that Tuesday and Thursday, you might have the Wednesday off school. So, you know, you could end up training, you're right. And especially where I played at Chelsea and where I live, I live in Essex, it was like an hour and a half drive there and back just training. Do you know what I mean? So home games weren't even like home games really, they were still away. So it's a lot of time on the road. It's a lot of time away from your parents, away from your schoolwork, away from your friends. So if you're not dedicated and you don't want to do it, there's no wonder why you can end up being burnt out or just falling out of love with the game. But I can't say it's something that happens to me personally, but I can understand why it would. Yeah, you're right. It's almost like having a little full-time job, isn't it, or part-time job when you're a kid.
That's a good point you mentioned. If you do not enjoy it, then as a kid that could be very, very stressful mentally for you, because you're just thinking, I don't even want to do this, you know, like I'm traveling here. Well, most kids, I think they do love football. I think it's just the other things that come with it, and those extra stresses is the reason why you wouldn't want to do it. That's actually a crazy situation. What was the craziest thing you saw in like academy football, would you say? Like a situation where you'd be like, that's not really normal, or when you look back, it's like, you know, I didn't really see that at the time, but now I can see that it's a bit different.
Yeah, I mean, that's broad. I don't know really. I mean, when Jeremy Boga turned up from France at 12, I don't think that's normal. So when you got French players coming in to play with you at 12, can't speak a word of English, that's not normal. But yeah, I guess things like that, just seeing people travel ridiculous distances. We also had an Australian lad that played with us for a bit, so he'd come across the other side of the world. So I suppose that, because when you think about that, it's mad that you're uprooting a whole family's life on potential. It's not definite. You know, look at yourself. You know what I mean? I don't play anymore, so it's complete. You know, there's no basis there at all that they're definitely going to be professional footballers. So I suppose it's the distances and the effort that's involved from not just yourself. Again, as something you said, something you didn't realise when you're younger, but it's also the people around you. It's your parents, the amount of hours they're having to put in. So I mean, when you got an away game on a Sunday against Southampton or Cardiff, and they're having to drive you 3 hours for the game, I'm sure that's not what they want to be doing on their Sunday. You know what I mean? When they've been working all week, all hours of the week, just to provide, and you've got to add that on top just to support your dream. So I guess that's also another crazy thing that you don't really realise as a kid. You just everyone's parents are doing it, so you just kind of think it's normal, but it's not.
Yeah, shout out to all the parents out there who've ever done that.
Yeah, definitely put a shift in.
Yeah, and who are still doing that as we speak. Probably what day is it today? Thursday. Some parents are probably getting back from training as we speak. Yeah. Some live like out the catchment area, maybe hour and a half drive, like you said. That is crazy when you actually think about it. People don't really see like what you have to do to get to that, stage in your career, whatever level that is, it could be any level, to be playing some type of organized football, as an adult, where there's like 3 points on the line type of thing. Your parents probably had to go through something, to get you there. So yeah, definitely shout out all the parents out there. So Chelsea, how did you see the rise of Chelsea, when you were there? What year did you join? You must have joined like 2003. No, sorry, 2004 to 5, probably. So that.
Yeah, I joined probably the last year that was sponsored by Umbro, and just in that period between Abramovich buying the club and not, you know what I mean? So I think I've started there, and he still hadn't bought the club then. But as I was kind of leaving towards the end of my first season, he had. And then even the difference actually going back a year and a half, 18 months, 2 years later, the difference he made. And we went from, I don't know if you remember it, kind of like an old sort of white academy building to probably one of the best academy buildings. Definitely at the time. I know there's been, other amazing academy buildings built since at Spurs and City and wherever else. But yeah, the transformation across Cobham in general, and in particular, I'd say, was incredible. And, the way that the facilities that we had at hand just went from quite very basic, to be honest, when I was first there, nothing special at all, to probably being one of the best training bases in the world. So yeah, no, I think that geezer completely transformed that club from top to bottom.
Yeah, that must have been a crazy transformation. As a kid, did you see anything crazy in terms of like, wow, I'm actually here? You actually realize I'm actually at Chelsea. Wow, I get free boots. Like, what was the thing that kind of wooed you away the most?
I think so the academy building was built first, which I actually thought was quite telling actually of the direction that they wanted the club to go, because they actually put the academy before the first team building. Maybe our building was more dilapidated and needed more, I don't know, but it was probably the time when they opened up that first team building, and they kind of took every academy player around for a tour, and they just showed you like treadmills underwater, and swimming pools that were changing gradient, and saunas, and sleeping like hotel rooms in there, and canteens. And it's just the most incredible first team building, like the managers' offices and stuff like that. Even like Sky Sports were there, like presenting it and stuff, and went to like train in front of the cameras, just because Sky Sports were there unveiling this new academy, their first team building. So I suppose that, and the thing is as well at Cobham, you're one road across the channel. You've got a road through the middle, and you've got academy building here, and you've got first team building there. So you're so close all the time. You're in such close proximity that it was regular to see first team players. I mean, you weren't kept separate as such. So yeah, I suppose that, and obviously as you say, I mean, we got like copious amounts of free boots, free kit. Yeah, we were very well looked after. Can't complain at all in that regard.
Yeah, Chelsea, they ran like a big club and everything. I don't even know if you heard this, but you do know, like, we had a rivalry, Arsenal versus Chelsea. That was like
we know, mate.
That was like the biggest game you could like you see in the fixture list, Arsenal versus Chelsea. You're like, yeah, I'm getting ready for this game. Coaches are like,
definitely.
Coaches are on it, like they're making sure like everyone's ready and everything like that. But that was you guys' experience. Our guys' experience at Arsenal was actually totally different. Really and truly, the only thing that I think at a young age they did run the club like a big club was kit. And probably free boots. We got like 2 pairs of free boots a season. But other than that, we didn't have the same experience.
Just the black and white tempos.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah. The Ronaldinho.
Same boots every year.
The flap on it.
That's it.
Yeah, but other than that, we didn't have a experience like you guys, Like, I don't know why that was, but I think that's kind of what maybe tipped you guys over the edge. You kind of attracted the better player. Maybe if both clubs were going for one player, you would tip, you'd get tipped to get that player, for example. Or, if it's like, pitches were pretty similar and everything. But I just felt like that was the one thing that Arsenal lacked, to be honest. I think it didn't do it how a big club should do it. Talking about you guys' experiences at Chelsea,
Yeah, but to be honest with you, when I was there the first time, there would have been nothing in it. It was only when Abramovich come in and all these grand buildings were being built, that's when things changed within the space of 2 or 3 years. But when I was first there, there would have been absolutely no difference. We would have had the exact same experience. You know what I mean? But you're right. Those games though, they were feisty, weren't they, between us?
Yeah, like I think depending on who you guys put out, it would depend on the score and depend on who won. I think maybe if both teams had both of their players around about the age of 13, 14, I think Chelsea might edge it a little bit, just because they had Jeremy Bogle, for example. You can't compete with that at that age. Just the best foreign players in the world and everything.
No, it was crazy. They were really good games though. And to be fair, as you say, like for the 4 years I was there, it did swing either way. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't you guys won all the time or we did. That's why it was so good. It was competitive. That's why we look forward to playing you guys, because it was a really good game. And you're right, like literally the Tuesday before the game on the Sunday, like the whole week was just like building up to it.
Yeah. It's crazy. So you saw the rise of Chelsea. You saw the players coming in. Who apart from Jeremy Bogle, because we know you're going to say him, but other than him, who was your top 3 players that you got to play with at that age?
I don't know, mate. It's so hard because I don't even really want to name names, because it'd be so unfair, because I would definitely forget someone, or I definitely. It's so tough. I mean, we had so many brilliant players. I mean, obviously, I know Ola was fantastic when he was so good. Charlie Colkey was brilliant. Connor Hunt was brilliant. Obviously, not quite my year group, year above, but he was in like my, when you used to go on tours and it'd be done by your date of birth, like 96. And Ruben Loftus-Cheek was 96. He was obviously really good. So many, mate. Honestly, I couldn't say. Really good. And I'd have to say every person in my team alone, because there's so many, really good. It was such an immense amount of talent. I'd say my year, the year above me and the year below me in particular, those sort of 3 years across that kind of time span. I mean, so many top players have come out of that age group or age bracket. But yeah, no. And the thing is, people were better at different times. Do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like someone was always here and they were the best player always. I mean, it didn't do that, because it's just natural, isn't it? It's just player development does that. People go through body changes quick. Some people get bigger, stronger. Some people technically develop quicker. It's not like this person just always at the top. You do get the rare case of that, of course you do, but it's not. The line to success isn't straight, is it? It's up, down, everywhere. So. But yeah, no, we had a brilliant squad, so I can't really give you a direct answer to that.
No worries. Yeah, I understand, but you named the names anyway. Great players, players that they're still doing well, and it's crazy to think like how many good players you can find of that quality and actually put in a team. It's actually crazy when you think about it. You know, you guys won a lot of games, tournaments, and so forth. So, you know, playing in teams like that, it can only make you better, you know? So how was that going from, you know, playing at Chelsea, then to your next club? How different was that, you know? Maybe the facilities, maybe the players you're playing with and everything. Like, what are the biggest changes when you go from a club like Chelsea to Southend after that?
Yeah, well, I mean, fire a brief stint at Dagenham Redbridge actually. So when I left Chelsea, I didn't really want to commit to my next club straight away. So kind of Dagenham Redbridge were kind of setting up their academy or centre of excellence was at the time. So I think they'd only just got back into the Football League. I think they've always floated around sort of the conference sort of area. And obviously it's not too far from me. So I kind of went down there, played some games, trained with them just to the end of the season before I kind of joined Southend. But that, I mean, if we're talking about facilities, they didn't even have a training ground. That was just at a school changing rooms, you know, on the bobbliest pitches, you know, no kit, you know, no training kit or anything. You know what I mean? It was that was a complete fall from grace, if you like, in terms of the differences. But as you mentioned earlier, I mean, anything would be chalk and cheese pretty much with Chelsea at that time. I know it's not quite the same now, but at that time, that you know, they were quite far ahead in terms of facilities and stuff like that. But yeah, no, and then obviously I signed for Southend. It did have a training ground. It's not anything obviously on the level of Chelsea now, but you know, it was ideal for me in terms of obviously locality. You know, it wasn't too far from me. It meant I could get the training as well, so it took that kind of load off my mum and dad as well, because you know they'd done a hell of a lot of driving. So that was kind of the main reason for going to there after.
When you went there, you just mentioned the biggest differences and everything. Playing wise, you know, what were the biggest differences? How you were taught on how to play football, like just the basics on how to play football. Like, what were the main differences?
Yeah. Do you know what? Funny enough, training wasn't too dissimilar, but it was kind of on a match day. You quickly learn that you need to kind of get that ball forward much quicker. Don't want to say long ball as such, but you know, at Chelsea it was kind of obviously you didn't want to give the ball away, but it was kind of more developmental, I guess. But maybe that was also kind of the age groups I was getting to as well. But you played out from the back. Do you know what I mean? Even if it looked like you were going to lose the ball, you didn't just kick it. You didn't look for long passes, all right, or such. But you know, you weren't direct balls into a striker to try and bring down and hold up. Whereas obviously when you're going down to sort of that level, that's more expected, because that's the way, you know, the youth team and the first team are going to play. Of course they are. That's, you know, so that I'd say that's different. But in training, you know, I would say Southend did try to, you know, get us to play out and do the right things and work on our technical stuff. So it wasn't, we used to do like little cage things as well. Do you know what I mean? Like
Nice.
3v3s. It wasn't all like that. But yeah, on a match day, it was definitely, you know, I definitely become quite a victim of doing that as well, because it was the easy option. That's the problem when you're allowed to do something like that. You can kind of cheat yourself and think, actually, I'm not going to play that ball. That takes bravery, that takes courage. And actually, it's just easier to get the ball out of my feet and just kick it long, and then someone else is still trying. Do you know what I mean? When really, I should be probably playing that little pass through the thirds, through the lines. So that's probably the biggest difference, I'd say, playing wise.
Yeah, I think like you said, you gotta learn how to play like the first team do. I think if there was a restructure in English football on how to play football, I think you'd see a lot more technical players across the board. You'd see, you know, players in League Two coming up, making their debuts, where they can easily play in the Championship or for a Premier League team, you know. But I think that kind of needs to change. I think the way maybe to do it, there's a lot of teams in England, so I don't know how you would do it, but you would basically just make a B team play in League Two, for example. So then it would kind of have to change the style of football, maybe. we don't know.
Yeah.
How do you think is
I
the
I
way?
I can see the benefit of that. Don't get me wrong, but I think that's the culture that we have in this country, in the 92 league clubs that we have, and even beyond that now. I mean, the conference is such a high level. There's a lot of money in the conference now, and even below that, South and North, and even down to Ryman or Islington, whatever it is now. We have such a strong footballing culture. Are fans of Notts County going to want to turn up and see Man United B? They're not. They're going to want to go and see Notts County beat Macclesfield, or do you know what I mean? Like those kind of rivalries, because what fans are going to turn up of that B team? There's not going to be a lot. Do you know what I mean? That's quite a niche thing, and I think as good as that might be for the development of the players, it might end up being. I mean, we're seeing it a little bit with that Johnson's Paint Trophy, or was it Papa John's Pizza Trophy now, where you get under 21s teams playing the League One and League Two teams. And I don't think that tournament is probably working how people would like it to. So I think if you expanded that, I mean, how would you structure it? Would you keep the original 92 and then add B teams to that? How would you add like a League Three as such, or?
Yeah, it would be very hard to restructure it now because what is done, right? But
Yeah,
if you were to sprinkle some of the best, B teams, and then maybe they get to play, even lower down. Maybe they start lower down, in the like even in the conference South leagues or whatever it may be, right? And then they can work their way up, get promoted, every year, whatever. And how it would work, because it works in Germany like this, you can't be a league between your actual professional club. So obviously, if you're playing for Bayern Munich, their B team, they play in the third Bundesliga, and they compete in that league. So all those players, say for example, the reason why they might, well, many players you might not know them, but the reason why Jamal, how do you say his name correctly, Musalia, is that how you say his name? The reason why he's ready from the get-go is because he's already played League One comparison in Germany, which is a very competitive league, so it's just something that maybe they could look into.
Just playing devil's advocate. Just playing devil's advocate. Is that not what the loan system's for? Is that not where you go out on a loan and go to those teams that are already in that division?
But I don't think the loan system benefits some of the academy boys, because I saw something that come out the other day where Junior Stanislas is talking about going on loan.
Yeah, I saw it too. Yeah.
Was it Southend?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, Southend, and he said like he's getting involved in keep balls and that, and he said it's much bigger spaces, and then when he goes back to West Ham, he can't compete. So it's like, how do you bridge that gap where you're trying to be and trying to actually get into your own first team, but you're also trying to do your thing and survive in the lower league system as well. So it's like, that's why I think the loan system is a catch-22. Sometimes it does work, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you adapt your situation.
I do agree.
Yeah, sometimes you adapt your situation and you end up picking up different tools in your toolbox, but then sometimes it does hinder you, where you do go back to your first team club and you just look out of shape because you're just not really on the same tempo or the same vibe as the other players that stayed there. So it's a different.
Have you played in Germany, George? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. I went to Germany. I played in one of their B teams. They were like a yo-yo club, like from Bundesliga to second Bundesliga. But I played in their second team in the 4th division, and that was a good experience because you're playing against men. I think in Germany it works, but it's already there, so that's the reason why it works.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say. Like, how does that work from an attendance point of view? Kind of like a passion kind of view. Like we get League Two games on telly. Do you know what I mean? They get 4, 5, 6,000 people. Is it the same over there? Is it well attended? Is it seen as a? Because I think here it'd be seen as kind of a lesser game. If Sunderland are playing Man United under 21s, that's not seen as the same same thing? Do you know what I mean? Like, how
Yeah,
does that work out there?
100%. It's the same as over there, and that is what
Right.
would, how do you
That's
bridge
what
that
you.
gap where
Yeah.
you get people
Right.
interested in, the youth,
Yeah.
the young players and everything. But
Right.
for certain games, you do get a lot of fans go into certain teams. Maybe if that team is like one of the best teams in the league, because even like the last club I was at in Germany, the team that actually finished near the top, they were a second team, so they actually,
Right. Okay.
I think they went up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they actually went to the third Bundesliga. So when you got teams like that, then people want to see the next
Yeah.
up and coming player, But
Right.
of course, if you're it's a catch-22 for everything, right? You got some teams where,
Yeah.
yeah,
No.
they're
Yeah.
good young players, but they're getting bullied because they're not physically ready. But you got other teams, say for example, the team we played, they were popping us, They're
Mm.
kids, you know what I
Mm.
mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, as a standard level, more time than not, these teams are ready. These B teams. It's just getting the chance to actually play football and everything. That's what I feel like. But we'll see how it works. Guys, we're gonna get back to the podcast in a bit, but now don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment. If this is on YouTube, you're watching, Spotify, follow, giveaways in the Telegram group, link below. Make sure you click that. Cash giveaways, football prizes, all the rest of it. Don't miss out. Now back to the podcast. So yeah, Southend. What happened there, and you went to Oxford afterwards.
Yeah. So, to be honest with you, I joined and then I broke my arm quite well. Yeah, broke my wrist quite quickly after. So that was kind of a little bit of a setback. And then I actually had my first knee operation, which was on my right knee. Just had a bit of cartilage that needed taken out. So that kind of took me through the rest of my under 15 season. To be honest, I didn't play too much. And then I come back from under 16s year, which is obviously such an important year when you get your scholar or you don't get your scholar. That was just I just weren't really at the races straight away. I felt like I was getting back into it towards the end, and when I kind of went from a meeting, I did think it was a little bit, I wasn't expecting a contract, but I also didn't walk in there thinking that I wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? I thought it was quite close. I might be completely wrong on that. Obviously, I didn't end up getting one, so I was, found myself released again. And then it was just really just trying to find a club. Obviously, it's difficult because there's so many boys that are released at that age. So I ended up, yeah. So I went to Barnet for a couple of weeks, and then they got relegated to the conference. So that kind of put a bit of a spanner in the works. That trial ended there. And then I actually was doing pre-season with an Essex Senior League team called Bowes and Pitsea. I was just playing and training there, just trying to keep fit. And then I ended up getting a trial at Oxford, and I was up there for a couple of weeks, and then I managed to get a year's deal with them. So that's basically how I ended up there.
Yeah, that's a far place to go, especially for you.
Yeah. Obviously in digs there. So
you went Chelsea, then down the road Southend, and then now you got to go up the motorway again. That's a far place to go. What was there any differences from Oxford to Southend at all?
I think they were better. I think they were better set up. I'd say. I don't want to talk ill of anyone. I just think that I thought the coaches were. I don't know. It was different. It was different. I mean, there's still League One, League Two clubs generally, historically. It's kind of where they've always kind of floated around. But I'd say the training ground was better. It's good quality of players as well. I played with some really, really good players at Oxford. Not saying I didn't at Southend, but maybe the team was slightly better. So obviously that's beneficial to yourself. But again, I mean, I just was so injured and I was just so off it. At that point, I wasn't very good, in truth. And I just wasn't good enough. When I got released from there, I definitely deserved to have been released. So that's the only meeting I've ever had, or that phone call decision that I've had where I knew the answer before they told me. I knew that I wasn't all the other two, I wasn't, I thought it was a little bit, here or there, but yeah, that one I knew already. So I was not very good at all.
So when you got the knee injury, how does that hit you at that age? Are you like thinking, this is gonna be a problem, or at the time where you just like, it is what it is, I'm gonna come back from this? What's your mentality at that age?
I think, to be honest with you, it's something that I had from 12 or 13. There was always something like I used to say to my dad, like, I feel like I can't sprint anymore. I felt like I was always getting pains and couldn't really put my finger on it. And then I had that thing when I was 15 at Southend. And that was actually a very basic operation. It was literally just a bit of cartilage that had come loose, taking it out. That was it. I was back playing again within 6 to 8 weeks. But it was the other knee, like, since. And I'm still having operations on that now to this day. But again, I didn't really discover that until I was about 18, when it just got to the point where I was playing for Chelsea City at the time for the youth sides and reserve sides. And I was trying to do like a Leslie King. I was like missing training sessions, trying to save myself for games, and I just wasn't good enough to do that. Do you know what I mean? So, like the coaches said, like, go and get this looked at. And when we discovered the extent of what I'd done to my left knee, it was like, yeah, that's it, mate. You've got to hang up your boots, pretty much. This isn't really getting any better. So I actually went for a clinical trial on the left knee to try and get back playing, which involved taking some stem cells from my hip and putting them into my knee to try and grow new cartilage. Because effectively what I'd done at some point is I'd broken my thigh bone in my left leg, and then that hadn't healed back properly in the correct place. So because it hadn't healed back properly in the right place, that bone was basically breaking down the cartilage, which then meant that every time I was running, moving, jumping, whatever, that cartilage was wearing away. So in effect, I was just bone on bone by the time I got to 18. So that pain that I'd been feeling for years and years and years, that had been what it was. So I had tried this stem cell therapy, and it went okay. I tried to get back to playing, and then it's just like, no, this hasn't really worked. And again, I went for more scans, and they were like, yeah, no, sorry, this hasn't taken up as well as we wanted to. The operation has worked to a degree, but it just hadn't worked in a big enough area. So it's kind of still that, it's still like that. So it didn't work out. So I'm still having operations on it to this day. Never to get me back playing again, obviously. Not even to get running again, but just to try and get me out of pain, because I'm in chronic pain with it every day. As you can imagine, I've got no cartilage in there, so it's just trying to put off the inevitable, which will be a knee replacement at some point. Obviously, I'm only 25, so you don't want a knee replacement now because it's too young. So that's basically kind of what finished my football career, if you like. But I mean, from probably about 15 onwards, I wasn't very, very good anyway. So I'm not blaming it on the injuries at all. I just wasn't good enough.
No, that definitely has an effect. Definitely has an effect on, your ability. It has an effect on maybe doing something that you probably would have, but now you can't do that anymore. You're thinking while you're playing about your knees and everything. You're not thinking about just playing. You're not thinking about, oh, where's my next pass going to be? You're thinking, oh, like, can I get through this game? So that is a very hard thing to be going through. And when did you have the realization that maybe this isn't gonna pan out what I thought it was gonna be in terms of your career and everything like that? When did you have that kind of realization that?
Yeah. So, like, as I said to you earlier, with the first time when I went back to Chelsea, even when I was very young, I kind of always had that "I'll prove you wrong" sort of thing, or as I say, a little bit of stubbornness, I suppose. Probably a little bit of delusion, really, looking back. But I always, every time I got released, it'd be like, "Nah, you know what? I'll prove you wrong, prove you wrong, prove you wrong." But it was kind of, I'd say, probably around the time when I got released from Oxford, I probably started thinking it's gonna be tough. And then when I got to Chelsea, it started off all right. It started off all right again, but just the more I played, the more I trained, it just wasn't getting any better. And as I said, I started missing training just to try and play games. And you can't do that at 17, 18. Just you need to practice your craft. You need to do that at 25. Do you know what I mean? So you definitely need to do it when you're still developing. And then just when I saw that surgeon that day, when I finally kind of put off, if you like, what was wrong. And when he basically sat me down and just said, like, you're not playing football again, sort of thing. It was obviously tough, but at that point, I probably was so far off the mark anyway. Shadow of a player that I ever was. That I probably kind of already accepted in my head at that point that nothing was ever going to come out of it. Not in a professional sense, anyway.
Yeah. So now, in your life, obviously your transition from football to what you're doing now. How was that? And most importantly, are you at peace with everything that has happened?
Yeah, of course. That's a good question. I mean, I was quite thankful with Oxford. Obviously, I've done like a BTEC level 3 sports science, which I think is quite standard for scholar players, or it was back then. Which obviously gives you UCAS points, and then also done some qualifications while I was playing with Chelsea City as well, in terms of like MBQs and stuff like that. So obviously, I realised I couldn't really do anything active. My dad's a plasterer. I worked with him for a bit, but again, even doing that was affecting my knee and stuff like that. So I knew I needed kind of like a sit-down job. I needed an office job. So I used those kind of UCAS points to get on the apprenticeship and insurance brokers, and then that's what I've done since then. So I'm still working insurance now. In terms of coming to peace with it, obviously it was tough. I mean, it probably took me a good couple of years, 2 or 3 years, really, to probably get over it, if you like. Like, even I've done like a little bit of coaching after, and I was getting frustrated. Like, I want to be the one playing. I mean, I don't know old enough to coach yet. So kids that like don't want to play, give me that to go and play. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely 60 years. Now I definitely am, and there's something that now I just look back with immense pride at the end of the day, and immense pride for the boys that I played with as well. Do you know what I mean? It could be so easy to be bitter and to be jealous, but they absolutely deserve it. I know we both know how much that they put into it. Do you know what I mean? They haven't got their bad luck or chance or anything like that. So no, I'm immensely proud when I go over and see Declan Rice every week, captain armband at West Ham. It was brilliant. Do you know what I mean? I remember him when he was at Chelsea with me when I was younger. So just things like that, just really, really happy to see. And it kind of vindicates it as well, doesn't it? Like, it's kind of a vindication because it kind of proves that what you was trying to do and trying to achieve, that if things kind of fell into place the right way, that you would have got there, you could have got there. You weren't stupid for following your dreams because other people were able to go and do it. So that's kind of the way that I see it.
Yeah, of course, with your situation, it was injuries, but at the end of the day, what you put yourself through, your parents and yourself, that has now added to your experiences in life, where maybe now people that maybe you work with, people your friends or whatever, they're only going through some trials and tribulations now in their life, They might have had it, depending on how their life was, right? But they might have now started to see maybe life is, not what you imagine it to be and everything like that. What are the biggest takeaways that you've taken away from football?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as you say there, like mental strength. I mean, I've been released more times than most. Do you know what I mean? So you get used to that rejection. But I think as well, something that we said earlier, the amount of time you spend away from your parents and whatever else, the coaches become role models, and even actually your peers as well, because you see the good sort of things that they put in place in their daily lives. You know what I mean? Like, if you're eating well, then you want to eat well and stuff like that. So definitely, obviously, mental strength, and just like I would not be the same person that I am now if I didn't go, as you say, if I didn't have that as my childhood. I wouldn't change it for the world. You know what I mean? Obviously, it didn't work out how I would have liked it to, but it doesn't mean that I'd still go back and change it, because I wouldn't be how I am. Could be better, could be worse. I never know, but I don't look back at it and regret it or anything. It's, I thoroughly enjoyed it while I was doing it.
All right. Lastly, take us through your, ritual for a match day, West Ham match day. What does it look like?
Do you know what? I'm not very superstitious. So I haven't really got like left hand pad first, like right side. haven't really got much of that. But I mean, one thing that I was actually quite bang on with was sleep. 9 o'clock before a game. I don't know why. This is something that I've done from when I was 8, 9, 10. It's something I always stuck with. So 9 o'clock before a game, get in bed. Doesn't necessarily mean I'll fall asleep. But get in bed at 9 and just get a good night's sleep, good breakfast. Do you know what I mean? Take your fluids on board. And maybe just a little bit of visualization, actually, a little bit while you're laying there, while you're drifting off. Think about what you're going to do the next day. If you know the team. So if I was playing you guys, we knew each other's teams pretty well, didn't we? So I'd know if I don't know Ainsley running at me, or do you know what I mean, or yourself, or whoever else. So you can kind of picture what you're going to have to deal with and what their strengths are and what how you can kind of combat that. So yeah, just a bit of visualization, and then just game day. As I say, no particular rituals in terms of putting clothes on or doing this or that. Just making sure you have a good warm up, and away you go.
What does that compare with now being a fan watching West Ham? What does your match day look like now?
Can't say on camera. No, it's just it is. Pub. Maybe down Billericay High Street, have a bit of grub in the Weatherstones, a few pints, get on the train and have a few more pints and watch the game. So yeah, completely different now, mate.
Oh, nice. And what about if you guys win? What does it look like after that?
Yeah, more beers.
Lovely stuff, man. Lovely stuff. Well, on that note, we'll finish up. This was Sean Scales, 4258, Jordan Antonio Brown here. Thanks for coming on, bro. Career after football. It's what we call this segment. Obviously, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment below. They're going to be doing giveaways towards the end of the year. You can win, a few football shirts, maybe from your favorite players. A little bit of cash as well we're going to be doing. Just make sure to subscribe, follow the Instagram. We're on TikTok now as well. Like I said, the Telegram group, get in there with some chat. And we'll see you guys again soon. Thanks for coming on, bro.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Final thoughts, Sean Scales, career after football. Yeah, it was a good chat, got to catch up. Haven't spoke to Sean in, it's got to be probably like 10 years now. You're always busy going off with your life. You meet different people along the way in your journey. And then you get brought back to, a beautiful moment. Get to reminisce about all the, the times that you went through. Wasn't together in our case, but, it was very similar against each other. And, you get to learn things maybe you didn't know about the person. So it's good to see he's at peace now with, his career after football, being an insurance broker. And, moving forward, you never know. Football could always be his calling, and, he might be, going into coaching or scouting, you never know. He's got the credentials there. He's done the work when he was younger to prepare himself for the future. So that door is always still open for him. Career-ending injuries are not a joke. And it's ended a lot of players' careers. I think in his case, he did what he could to try and make it in the pro game. But, now, like he said, he's at peace where, he knows that he couldn't have given any more than he did. Even to the point where, he finds it hard to walk now. So, it was a good chat with him. Other than all the highlight points that people might take out of this, the players he played with, Abramovich era and everything else. I think it's always good to highlight the mental health side of it, the journey side of it, the academy side of it, because hopefully there's young kids listening to this, and they get good takeaways to take out of this for their journey, and they could just learn. I always say a smart person learns from their own mistakes, but a wise person learns from other people's mistakes. FOOTY 258 out. Peace.